Hi, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on hatching in Illustrator. I like to keep these things under 10 minutes, so I'm going to move kind of fast, but you'll have a lot of time in class to ask questions. And so first we're going to look at where the swatch palette is located. I'm going to talk about my workspace. Then we'll go to applying a swatch to an object. Then we will look at transforming an existing pattern swatch. Then we will look at how to edit an existing swatch, and then we will go to creating a new custom swatch from scratch. First of all, my workspace is set to Essential Classic, so if you want to follow along and see the palettes the same as mine, go for it. Swatch palette is here. This is where we kind of have all of our all of the swatches that are either recently used or are currently loaded in the file that we're working on. I already have some of these patterns preloaded. In order to access the swatch libraries, you go to this little hamburger sign here, go to Open Swatch Library, go down to Patterns, Basic Graphics, and then we're going to be primarily using dots, lines, and textures. So go ahead and click on one of those. It will open up. You can't edit these. Um, these are in the library loaded on your computer. These are the swatches that we will be editing. But once you click on one of these, it will automatically load into your swatch palette over here. You can then go ahead and delete those swatches if you don't want them to be in your file. Let's go ahead and load a couple more of those. Let's go to patterns, lines. So now we have our dots, lines, and then let's go ahead and load the textures. And also go ahead and look at some of these other ones. You can, there's other pattern stuff to look at. There's some decorative patterns, although there's a lot of color information in there. And then there's some nature patterns as well. Okay, first of all, you need to have some geometry in order to apply a pattern. I can give myself a new square. Go ahead and align that to the page. I can fill it with one of these patterns over here, and then they'll automatically be loaded to my swatch palette, or I can just go ahead and use some of these preloaded swatches. So let's look at some of these patterns. There we go. So you can kind of take a look at these things. So that is how to locate the swatches, apply them to an object. Now let's talk about transforming them. This is really handy. You can go Object Transform, and you have all of these transformation options. You can use this Transform Each. This kind of loads a bunch of different transformation options into one window. And here you can move the pattern without moving the object. So you can scale the pattern without scaling the object, and you need to make sure that that this one's turned off and that the transform patterns is turned on. Okay, then you can, right now I have that scaled down to 10%. You can see what it looks like if I scale it up. And I've got the swamp hatch here. I'm going to scale that up a little bit more, maybe. And you can see what we're doing by previewing it. So this really allows you to have control of a hatch without actually changing the swatch. I'm going to say cancel. And we can also transform it. You could rotate it. Now I'm going to go ahead and not transform the object. I'm just going to transform the pattern. A lot of the times I think this will really come in handy. You'll be able to subtly shift the angle. Done. Now, another thing that we can do is we can edit an existing swatch. All you have to do is double click on that, and it will pull open the swatch editor, and you can now have complete control over this swamp hatch, and you can really make it your own. First of all, we have the boundary of the swatch here, or the tile. Then we are dimming all of the other, all of the duplicated information, just so that we know what we really need to work on. So you get to see what your changes do to the swatch pattern in real time. So for example, this is set up on a grid, but you have different options here. You can do a row, a brick by row, brick by column, hex, and this is really going to change how your swatch tiles. But most importantly, you have control over all of this artwork here. So for example, if I wanted to I'm just going to scale them individually. And then I'm going to increase their stroke to 1 point. And I'm going to do that for a couple of these. And then we will be able to see what that does in real time here. Zoom out. So now we can see what the new pattern is that we've created. When you're done, you can go ahead and either cancel, you can hit done, and that changes the existing swatch in your swatch palette, or you can do save a copy, like to save a copy, say okay. So now I have the old swamp and the new swamp, and then you can say, you can cancel out of there. So now I can apply the new swatch, but I also still have the old swatch. So you toggle back and forth there. The next thing that we can do is we can create a custom swatch from new artwork. So let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and delete this. Let's see, let's just draw. All right, so we got Pearl. Go ahead and turn her into a swatch. So I'm just taking that artwork and dragging it and dropping it into my swatch palette. And now I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to double click on the Pearl swatch, and now I have control over how this is tiled. So maybe I'll do a hex by row, and then I will maybe rotate it slightly. I don't like how this is overlapping here, so I'll just I'll scale that a little bit. It's a little bit better. I still don't like how this is overlapping, so I'm going to just pull that back. And then I'm going to, that looks pretty good. I'm going to make the height of the tile a little bit larger, just to give it a little bit more room in the height. So now there's no overlap. And then I think what I'll do is just add a little bit of color. Oops. Great. And now I'm happy with this. I'm going to change that original swatch because I don't want that one. So I'm just going to say done. And now I can go ahead and now I go ahead and have my wallpaper. Okay, this is a basic hatching tutorial. We located the swatch palette, we applied swatches to objects, we transformed swatch patterns, we edited existing swatch patterns, and then we created custom swatch patterns from new artwork. That's going to do it.